Game 2 against the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers survive 6-5. The bullpen literally hangs on to win. Tanner Scott gets the save. Offense does just enough to make it so it's a 1-1 split so far. We'll break it all down right now on the All Dodgers podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the All Dodgers podcast, part of the Believe Podcast Network, presented by FanDuel. My name is Jeff Spiegel, and tonight, as we react to a Dodgers victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks, I am joined by Kevin Skinner here as the... I said, Kevin, we were due for a sweat. The Dodgers, they gave us a sweat tonight. They did win, but it was not exactly pretty.
No, we've been living high off the days of good bullpen pitching, so we were due for a clunker from, guys like Kyle Hurt. Who else pitched in this game? Yeah, Kyle Hurt. Edgardo Enriquez actually looked pretty good.
He was good. Will Klein was not perfect. Tanner Scott made us sweat a little bit.
Yeah, we were due for one of these. I wish they had these we're due games against the Athletics or the Rangers. Just don't make it a divisional opponent, please. Can we not sweat the divisional games?
Yeah. Eric Lauer goes 4 2/3. In the 4 1/3 that the bullpen was asked to get, they gave up 6 hits and 5 walks in 4 1/3. The bullpen does. That amounts to 3 earned runs, all of which were charged to Kyle Hurt, although Will Klein was on the mound for a couple of them. And so an ugly performance from Dodgers pitching altogether. And yet, Kevin, if I told you coming in, hey, Eric Lauer is going to start for the Dodgers, and they only give up 5 runs. I mean, I guess the way they got there was pretty ugly because it was a 4-0 lead that almost collapsed. But at the end of the day, they won a start in which Eric Lauer pitched 4 2/3. That feels like a literal victory and also a moral victory of sorts.
We're gonna have to start calling this the All Eric Lauer division of the All Dodgers podcast because I think we finished post game of both Eric Lauer starts. Yeah, what can you expect more? You can't expect more from this guy. He's yes, is he taxing the bullpen today? Sure. But he's keeping them in the game. He's not blowing it up immediately. He definitely struggled today, but look, I for a non-ace, a non-1, a non-2 to go 4 1/3, 2 earned, sure.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to get into a conversation later because somebody told me no matter what Eric Lauer does, it's good news. Either he's awesome or River Ryan's starting to take his spot pretty soon. So we'll get into a little bit later about whether or not tonight qualified for that. But first, let's give a shout out to everybody who is joining us live on YouTube for this one. We appreciate you. Those listening after the fact to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast, we appreciate you as well. Tons of folks hopping in again to celebrate the Dodgers winning 6-5 in this one. And the headline to me is they eke out a win, Kevin, because they jump out to a 4-0 lead. They have 2 runs with just 1 out in the first inning on a Freddie Freeman home run. Then you've got Shohei Ohtani with a 2-run triple. And it just felt like, okay, Soroka on the mound for the Diamondbacks. The offense is going to roll. Surely this will be fine. And Eric Lauer looked pretty good to start off this game. Did you have a sense early on, Kevin, that this might be sort of a nice, easy, relaxing, don't need to be super dialed in and locked into every single pitch because the Dodgers are going to walk away with this one?
Unfortunately, no. Not because I'm a Dodgers fan, watch these games, and probably many of these. Unfortunately, this team has the track record of putting up runs early and then just doing nothing. So I thought they were liable to do that. I mean, they didn't exactly do that. They put up 2 more runs in the 7th inning. Obviously, that was the difference in the game. And then, with somebody like Eric Lauer on the mound, my expectations aren't too high. So 4 1/3, 2 earned runs. It was about I think that was my peak optimism. Maybe if he got through the 5th and got 5 and 2 earned runs, that would have been awesome. But he did about what he could do. But it kind of came down to when we were in the 3rd inning, I'm like, all right. So you put up 4. We're gonna have to get probably 4 from the bullpen. Can they? They've been really good, one of the best in baseball, if not the best. I think they're the best in baseball ERA wise. As a unit. But it's look, It's not always that pretty, and the Diamondbacks are hot right now. So I had a feeling tonight would be a little bit of a sweaty one, but like you said, we were kind of due for it a little bit. We've been cruising. We've been living large over here.
Seriously.
In Dodgers.
Yeah, it's a 19. I believe 15 of their last 19 have been wins, but not a lot of them have been hold on to your butt situations like the one we had tonight, where it just felt like, we're going to get into kind of the 7th and the 8th inning in just a little bit, and just how dicey things got for this group. Bottom of the 7th, Kyle Hurt comes into this game, and this was the key moment to me, Kevin, for a couple of reasons. Everybody who watches this show knows, I think all of us love Kyle Hurt. We believe in Kyle Hurt. We think he's going to be like an absolute dude in the bullpen. Confidence cactus, whatever plant you want to use when it comes to evaluating your bullpen, take your pick here. And I thought it was interesting because the Dodgers are up 6-2, and it's the top of the order due up, and they go to Kyle Hurt, which tells me something. That's a confidence move. That's, hey, the best 3 hitters on the team, we're up by 4. We cannot let life come back into the Arizona Diamondbacks. Shutdown inning right there, top of the order, and this game is on cruise control. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They're going to Kyle Hurt, and he deserves it. He's been fantastic so far this season. He was not fantastic tonight. Walk, out, walk, double, strikeout, walk. 3 walks, 6 batters faced, and a double for good measure. So the double makes it 6-4, and then he leaves with runners on, I believe it was first and second. And then Will Klein comes in. Looks like he gets out of the inning with the strikeout. Instead, it's called the ball. This was a recurring theme for Diamondbacks to be called out via strikeout challenge and then not strike out. He gives up a single that makes it a 6-5 game, or a single and then a walk to make it a 6-5 game. And if not for a nice play by Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts to get out of that inning, it would have been a disaster. So the 7th inning is when they give up 3 runs. In the 8th, Klein stays in. He puts runners on first and second. Nolan Arenado hits into a double play, and then Tanner Scott in the 9th, after a bunt in which Scott makes a great play, a runner on second. So for the last 2 1/3 of this game, Kevin, the Dodgers bullpen literally had the tying run in scoring position. In a couple of cases, the go-ahead run was either on base or in scoring position. So to your point, we haven't had a ton of those lately, but it was just one of those nights. And give the Dodgers bullpen credit, because Will Klein got outs when he needed them. Tanner Scott got outs when he needed them. And at the end of the day, we're not complaining because it is a victory.
Yeah, I think so. There are 2, if you look at the unit as a whole, remove Eric Lauer from the situation. I think we talked about him a bit. I think there were 2 highlights for me. One was Will Klein. I know he looked shaky initially, but to come in and then get 3 outs immediately after an up down, I'm a guy I'm a big believer in, if you can go more than an inning, that tells me a lot. And I value guys in a bullpen that can do that. And I really like that Will Klein, despite how he was getting squeezed a little bit. And it's obviously ABS was not, he wasn't getting any favors from any of the Diamondbacks hitters, but he didn't implode. He didn't give up. He didn't get emotion. He came out, did his business, and did what he's done all year going back into the postseason. So loved that. The other thing, and I touched on it a little bit before we came on, was Tanner Scott. This could have been disaster mode for Tanner Scott. If he blows another lead, then everybody's like, oh no, here we go again. And we're like, all right, is it time? No, time for regression, whatever. He got away with some pitches. Let's be very clear. He got away with some pitches, but he got the job done. And I think that's really good. When you're a pitcher like Tanner Scott, the results, but he knows he left those fastballs over the middle. He knows. He could watch it. He can look at on the heat map later. So I'm sure that's something that they're working on or trying to figure out. Okay, how can we get the fastball lower, or can we get it higher a little bit? How do we leave it literally out of the middle of the zone? But still, he gets the job done. So those were 2 very big bright spots for me. Yeah. And then Kyle Hurt, to touch on
real quick on Tanner Scott, because I think you make a great point about how this could have easily gone completely sideways for him, given from just a mental perspective. And I'm not even talking about fans, because fans obviously, but for himself. And it's a small thing. And if you just are reading the play-by-play, you're not paying attention. And I shouldn't say you're not paying attention. You might not notice, but he gets a strikeout. He gives up a single, and then Perdomo bunts. And you and I, we're in here watching the last half inning. Tanner Scott made a fantastic play with no margin for error on that bunt. And that's the type of play where if you're lacking confidence, if you're in your head, if you're woe is me, doom and gloom, there's no chance that ball doesn't sail either right or left or up or something. And instead he throws an absolute strike to Freddie Freeman and gets him by a half step. So to me, that was like, for Scott particularly, just a massive moment to say, all right, this guy is locked in. Whatever fans are saying about him, he clearly does not believe that he's broken, because that's a play that a guy who's in the right frame of mind makes.
Exactly. And you know, Joe was, you know, saying that he was a little puzzled, but like, yes, you can question bunting on 3-1. I get it. I understand. Like, that's a little
with Perdomo
weird
too.
Count with Perdomo too. He's a very clutch hitter. But to your point, like, it wasn't the best bunt in the world, but he still put it in a spot where if Tanner Scott doesn't make the perfect play, he's safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he beat him by half a step. He threw an absolute seed to Freddie Freeman. So it was a bizarre choice, but I think executed, if you're a Dodgers fan, you'd be annoyed that he bunted in the first place. But then you look at it and like, well, he needed to do it perfectly. And he did. And he being Tanner Scott in that instance. So I am, again, on top of the like pitching well, that is a really good point. Like defensively, again, didn't get overexcited, didn't overthrow the ball. Like, because if it's not in Freddie's chest, if Freddie has to go up for it or out, like we're first and second, nobody out or one out at that point, it's scary hours, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bunch of super chats we're going to get to in a second. Before we do, though, I want to give a shout out to the newest sponsor of the All Dodgers podcast.
That's back to this. Really cool. I like that. I like that. I like that one a lot. Because I mean, you nailed it. College kids, like that's a.
They got sets for like $25 on there. You get 10% off. $25, $30 shipped. You get a case of chips, some cards, or again, if you want to go high end, buy yourself a $100 table topper. Get some fancy casino chips. So again, shout out to our friends at discountpokershop.com. We appreciate them. Let's get to some super chats here. Our guy Richie chiming in. Bullpen looked great. Sincerely, Chris Hatcher. There you go. So Chris Hatcher would have been thrilled with the performance he saw today. We on our YouTube channel, Os a Court celebrating. What's that?
Oso QRT.
Oso QRT, thank you. New guy here. Celebrating 22 months of membership. Send Hurt down, bring River Ryan up. We're already out on Kyle Hurt.
No, not even a little bit. Because, before the ad read, there was something like I wanted to touch on, which was there are kind of two ways. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can have a bad outing as a reliever, but I think that the two diametrically opposed ways are you just like giving up hard contact all over the place? Like, are you just middle, and like your stuff is bad, or do you just not have it that night? Is your command off? And that he was in the latter category today. That has not been an issue for him this year, at all. He's actually been like it was an issue last year and the year before. Like that was kind of his profile was great stuff, not so fine with it, and he's been able to bring that in. But tonight was kind of an outlier. It was a misfire. He had a bad night. He just didn't have a feel for pretty much anything. And I think that's just something, if you're Kyle Hurt, I'm sure he's mechanically going to work on something, but then you just flush it. You're just like, you know what? I just didn't have it that night. I couldn't feel my slider, or I just couldn't feel the fastball. And like that happens. And when you only have two pitches, really, it sucks when one of them you're not feeling very well.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Hurt coming into this game, 18 innings pitched. He had an ERA of literally 1.00. He had 4 walks on the season. He had 3 walks today. And again, this is going to jack that ERA up because now it's going to be, his ERA will probably double tonight, I believe. What's that?
2.41.
Yeah, so
3 earned runs.
Yeah, doesn't get out of the inning, so only 2/3 of an inning. But I mean, like, that's what we're talking about here. It's still 2-4-1 after a disastrous night. And again, hadn't had issues with the walks, like you said. So I'm not telling you don't bring River Ryan up. I'm just saying Kyle Hurt is not the guy whose spot he would be taking. We do appreciate 22 months of membership, though. Thank you for that. Jason throwing us some rupia says, did Dave ruin the bullpen's mojo by blowing up the ERA, putting in Rojas that one night? Can we, we just need like logic to reign at some point, Kevin. when a position play, there are rules about position players pitching. They can only come in certain times. So we have clearly defined what a position player is, like who qualifies, etc. Can we just create stats that don't include them? Like they just belong in this other category? Give me starting pitcher splits, relief pitcher splits, and position player pitching splits. Like I just hate that the bullpen dogs have to wear the 8 earned runs or whatever Rojas put up that one night.
I'm with you on that, but I think that's something for the nerds to do. That's something for the great people over at Fangraph or Statcast or whoever runs Baseball Reference. I think it's for them to split out, because if you're a baseball player, if you're a major leaguer, and those stats don't count, even if you're a hitter, if you're getting home runs off a position player, those count.
But then all of a sudden, I'm fine with.
But that's not fair. That's ridiculous.
Well, I'm saying it should count against somebody. I'm just saying like the bullpen. I don't need to look up bullpen ERA and have them include that one time Miguel Rojas, a position player, pitched, and that goes into the same bucket as Tanner Scott and Kyle Hurt. To me, that's just crazy. Am I asking too much here?
Because I think you start teetering on the how much do these stats start counting, because then if you separate those stats out, you can start separate out like, oh, well, how many homers and what's your average looking like against position players, and then you start thinking, okay, maybe like we just shouldn't count it at all, and then this is like, okay, then why are we doing this? Like I think unfortunately it's a necessary evil. Like if you start like slowly sliding away like the screws or pulling up the screws, like it can all come toppling down when you're up 10 runs, even though I think the game should have a mercy rule in baseball, to be honest.
Yeah. Speaking of ERA, I shared this with you. This afternoon, I was at a high school softball game. This was a state semifinal game up here in Oregon. A good friend of mine's kid is on the team. She plays catcher. 2 incredible pitchers. And we joked about this. In softball, because it is deemed a normal motion to pitch, there is no pitch limit. There is no innings limit. And both pitchers were really good. This is a state semifinal game to go to the state championship. They play 7 innings in softball, for those that don't know. 0-0 after 7, 0-0 after 8, 0-0 after 9. Well, in the 10th, they start putting a runner on second base. We get the ghost runner in high school softball once you get to the 3rd extra inning. Nobody scores in the 10th. Nobody scores in the 11th. Girl gets thrown out at home in the top of the 12th. And then my friend's kid, in the bottom of the 12th with the runner on second, smashes a line drive off the center field wall for a 1-0 walk-off in the 12th inning. So this game was supposed to be 7. It goes 12, and the final score was 1-0. Both girls pitched complete games. So ridiculous stuff. I see some Taylor in the chat. UCLA pitcher this weekend threw 180 pitches. The girl at the high school level, she had to have thrown 160. The girl that on the team that won, I think, was at like 160. But yeah, softball's insane.
80 pitches.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. So there you go. Speaking of ERA, the girl from Wilsonville High School, shout out to her. Solid ERA, 12 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, and that includes 3 innings where they put a runner on second base to start. So chaos. Chaos.
But my shoulder hurts just listening to that. Maybe your elbow's not under as much strain, but that's a violent shoulder motion. So
natural motion, Kevin. Nothing to worry about here.
Totally, absolutely. That's why bowlers basically wear no splints and no protective wear on their wrists and anything.
Yeah, it's chaos. Doxin dude with the super chat, we appreciate it. That is a win for LA. That's all that matters. At the end of the day, we're gonna sit here. We're gonna say, bullpen could have been better, but don't miss the forest for the trees. Dodgers win. And
big one. Padres dropped one, beat the Diamondbacks, get a game up on both of them.
Love that.
Good win. Good win in the middle of June for sure.
So what's the divisional lead? Are we at 6? 6.5?
6.5, something like that.
Love that. Yeah. Don't care 187. I was hoping to see an Ohtani cycle after the 2nd inning. He leads off. What do you have? He went double, triple his first 2 at bats, right?
Yeah.
And my favorite was his third. Go ahead.
The two hardest ones to hit.
Yeah. Well, my favorite is like he comes up in the 3rd at bat and Joe Davis is like immediately like, keep an eye on the cycle, which everyone was thinking. And it was like first pitch ground out. And he's like, okay, maybe we jumped the gun a little bit there. And it's like, to be fair, to your point, once you get a triple and anything else, you're on cycle watch.
Cycle watch. Yep.
So,
absolutely.
And it is Ohtani. So I think it's all fair. It was just funny the way it played out for Joe.
I love the way he and like Oral and like a lot of the Dodgers broadcasters, Steven Nelson included. I love how they play stuff off like that. It's really funny because they do joke about themselves among like casters curse and things like that. It's really funny that Joe was just like, oh, well, yep, jump the gun there.
Yep. Nicole Taylor with the super chat. I love Muncy. What a brain fart throw to second base. I forget the exact inning. It was very bizarre. The only thing more bizarre was how wrong the umpire was in calling that guy out at second base. He was safe by like 3 full seconds, I think. I don't think there was a person in the world that agreed with the umpire who was standing 4 feet away. Muncy has graded out as one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball so far.
The best defensive third baseman in baseball.
There you go. Just weird. There was no, it literally is a brain fart. And what's funny is it will not go down as an error when it's, again, this is my issue with the error. It's the stupidest thing that we have because that was an error, and yet it won't go down as one because he completed a play through to second. It just wasn't in time. But bizarre play, and again, shout out to the umpire for being even worse than Max Muncy on that play somehow.
Yeah, Muncy's going through it. Yeah, he broke a bat, I guess, during bullpen sessions today. Little throwing error there. You know, he's
not an error, to be clear. Not an error, Kevin.
Not an error. He Muncy would call it an error.
He made a mistake, but we're not going to call it an error. Error and mistake are synonyms, but that's technically, according to our stupid rules of what an error is or isn't, making an idiotic play and throwing to second when you should just throw to first and getting no outs doesn't qualify. Good play, according to the defensive stats we keep, you know? So, there you go. Our guy, Ray Soto, with the super chat, $1.99. Ray Soto, we appreciate you. I love that he was giving us head counts in all the different live post-game shows earlier on in the chat. I see you, Ray. I see. It's, you know, hey, you're not the only one paying attention to some of those things.
But it's the biggest flex, too, because he knows we can see him in the chat, and yet his super chats are always blank. He never adds a message to the super chat. Yeah. He's just like, I know they see me. I don't need to do it here.
Don't even need it. You know, don't even need it.
But we do need a break. Keep it coming.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Ray. By the way, if you would like to support this show, Super Chats, one way to do that. YouTube memberships, one way to do that. The other way, the best way, some are saying, including me, would be our Patreon. Patreon.com/realfrg. You can click the join button here on YouTube. You can scan the QR code that is on your screen if you have like multiple devices and are able to do that. But multiple levels, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you would like to do, it's a way of saying, hey, I like this show. I want it to keep going. I want you guys to keep doing the good work that you are doing. We would greatly appreciate that. Again, patreon.com/realfrg also gives you access to the Discord. So got all sorts of channels in that Discord, but a place to chat about the Dodgers with all the same people that you hop into post-game shows with. So if you want to check out the Patreon, please go ahead and do that. Of course, the other way you can support, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell right here on YouTube, or as I always say, if you're a podcast person, subscribe, rate, and review. If you're not a podcast person, you probably have the Apple Podcast Store or Spotify or Apple Music, something, and just find the All Dodgers podcast, click subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and that's all we need from you. So we appreciate all the support. Again, people leaving super chats, people watching, commenting, all of you for hopping in. One other group that I want to say thank you to, that would be our friends at IQ Bar, another sponsor of the show. Our friend Clint going to tell us all about it. 6-5, 10 hits for the Dodgers, 11 hits for the Diamondbacks. An interesting box score game because you have the top 4 guys, I would say Ohtani, Pages, Freeman, and Betts, who all produced 6 RBIs, all came from the top 4 guys in the lineup. Ohtani 2 for 4 with the triple and the double. Andy Pages, a hit and a sac fly. Freddie Freeman, 3 for 5, including the home run. Even Mookie Betts, RBI single that ends up being the difference in this one. And then you've got Kyle Tucker, Max Muncy, and Ryan Ward right behind them with an 0 for 11. You get back down to the bottom. Dalton Rushing, who's been struggling, a pair of hits for him. Alex Freeland. I always want to say Kyle Freeland. Alex Freeland, he's the Dodger. 1 for 3 with a sacrifice bunt as well. When you look up and down this box score, what jumps out to you? Who's the player? What's the performance that kind of stands out tonight?
It's honestly just looking at that grouping in the top 3, and then Mookie's getting there. He's been injured, so his stats are kind of wonky. But it's just seeing the OPSs. It's, you know, Shohei's at 927, Pages 872, Freddie's creeping up at 835. Like those are numbers we're more used to seeing. Yeah. You know, those guys were hovering, specifically Freddie and Ohtani were hovering in the 700s at points. So we're kind of like, all right, we expect them to get to their career numbers. those look to be trending in the right way. And then really it's Dalton rushing. You had mentioned he's been struggling pretty mightily. 2 hits, they weren't cheapies. The swing looks a little better. The bat quality is getting better. It's still not amazing, but he's at least getting bat on ball and doing damage with it. So that's been promising. And then, on the negative side, Muncy 0 for 4, would really like to see him break out of it. He's been scuffling at the plate, not counting like before today. He was 5 for his last 32 at bats, so 5 for his last 36 plate appearances. He's been going through it at the plate, but look, he carried this offense for the first part of the season. So he's, he can take his time and he deserves to go through slumps like this. But I'd like to see Muncy, he's mentioned though before in the past that he doesn't like hitting at Chase Field. He struggles with that specific batter's eye. So maybe it just we need to get him out of there really quick. But yeah, that's what really stands out to me. And Mookie's single, man. Mookie keeps hitting the ball really hard. It just keeps getting caught. It's really annoying.
Interesting for Muncy. He had that stretch where he missed a few days. We all thought he was going to go on the injured list. Scans come back positive. 3 for 19 with 0 walks since coming back. So to your point, it's not like he was necessarily on fire going into that stretch. He was in the middle of a, 2 for 17 stretch prior to that. But you just wonder, 3 or 4 days off for a guy like Muncy, does that mess with him? The fact that he doesn't have any walks over a stretch of 20 at bats is strange to me. 6 strikeouts, I believe. So, who knows? Something to monitor with Max Muncy. Again, not a guy to be worried about because of how hot he has been so far this season. The OPS is still up over 850, but just something to keep an eye on, I would say, with him.
I could see him getting a couple. Maybe he sits 2 of the 3 games against the Angels because it's the Angels.
Yeah, or is that the Get Right series? You put all the guys who are struggling in against the Angels and say, "Hey, let's."
I would so rather him sit against the Angels, take a day's rest, and then deal with the Pirates pitching. So
the other name that was circulating in Dodgers chats and text messages that I was a part of was Kyle Tucker. Not exactly a great night for Kyle Tucker. We mentioned guys whose numbers seem to be headed in the right direction. His is not that. 715 is the OPS. Have we crossed the line for you yet, Kevin? Because I have people in my life who were willing to be patient, and I believe Tuesday, June 2nd, may have been the night. An ordinary 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts for Kyle Tucker. 1 strikeout, excuse me, and a walk. That tonight might have been the night that they said, enough is enough. I don't like this guy. Are you there yet?
No, I don't know. I think he's better than Michael Conforto. I know that's a hot take among our group chat.
Would that be World Series champion Michael Conforto that you're referring to there? Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I get those guys confused.
All of these numbers he's having, are aberrations over his career, specifically his barrel rates, his hard hit rates, all this stuff, or maybe not the hard hit rate, the barrel rate, everything. He's chasing so much more. He doesn't look comfortable at the plate. I don't know what it is. I'm not out on a guy like Kyle Tucker. I know he's prickly to fans, even though he's not on the confidence cactus, because of his attitude and his laissez-faire disposition. But from everything I've read and from, his teammates, the dude's just a grinder. He just doesn't show it a lot. He gets the clubhouse and he does his work. So I have a tough time when you pair a good work ethic with his background. I have a really tough time selling stock and giving up on someone like that. It's also why I'm just never, they're not the same player, but you're never going to see me doubting Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
For the same reasons.
Yeah. 904 OPS for Michael Conforto this season, by the way, in case if
we can use a guy like him,
someone was wondering what that guy was doing. Yeah, I'm with you. People that know me know I will be patient till the bitter end. And that's not going to change with Kyle Tucker. I will believe that he's going to figure it out. And it's the Dodgers. It's June 2nd. He's got 3.5 months until it matters for him to figure this thing out. And so as long as it clicks sometime in there,
that would be interesting because he's historically not been a postseason performer. So maybe he just struggles the regular season and goes off. He's NLCS MVP Kyle Tucker loaded.
There you go. Dalton Rushing, you mentioned 2 for 4. And I mean, Alex Freeland, like, look, this guy struggled 1 for 3, lays down a nice sacrifice bunt today. I'm not a troll, and I like Haesung Kim. So, like, I would not necessarily make this argument, but I joked with a friend who is married to someone who loves Haesung Kim, and I said, hey, you should ask them whose OPS is higher, Alex Freeland's or Haesung Kim's, because the answer is actually Alex Freeland's. But we can root for both of them, people. We can root for both. You don't have to choose between liking Kim or Freeland. Right now, Freeland is up, so we should root for Alex Freeland. He was good, 1 for 3 with the sack bunt today. So, solid night for him, you know?
I think the thing that might sell me over Freeland, I think Freeland lays down a better bunt. And like
that's
honestly,
where you draw the line. You're in on the guy who can bunt better.
Well, in their position, yeah. Like if you're the 9th hitter, you're the utility guy. We need you to move runners over, or we need you to kind of be the gadget player if you were in football. Yeah, like I need the guy who can turn a corner really fast. Or lay down a bunt in this situation. So, and Haesung Kim has struggled doing that. So, like, if that's the deciding factor, like, I'm all for. I could get on board the Freeland train just because he can lay down a bunt.
Well, again, we could be on both trains. You could just root for both guys. One of them is a Dodger right now. The other is a Comet. So just root for the guy who's a Dodger, and it's Alex Freeland. And hopefully,
the son of the Comet.
There you go.
Son of the Comet on the Comet. It's Kismet.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I see our guy Richie in the chat, by the way, mentioning we should say happy birthday to Pop Jeff Snyder if you're watching. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're either like, I guess you're not out to dinner anymore at 10:23, but hopefully you're asleep and just like, reveling in what was a fantastic birthday. So I believe, as Clint said, 101 has never looked so good, Pop. So that was from Clint earlier, to be clear. But happy birthday.
No, we had Byron Buxton on this
What's
podcast. I didn't know we had Byron Buxton on this podcast.
There you go.
Clint likes the joke that he's the oldest looking guy in baseball.
Love it. I love it. All right, let's anything else from this game in particular? I mean, we talked Eric Lauer, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earns, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 1 home run, 70 pitches ultimately. Like that just feels like the ultimate Eric Lauer game. It's going to be 4 innings, 2 earned, 5 innings, 3 earned, and you're kind of probably should be content with a guy who's going to give you an ERA of around 5.
Yep. No, I mean, that's pretty much it. It like with the starters that they had going, and it's kind of a low leverage game. There's not a ton of things to talk about when the game ends 6-5. Like I know that's nobody did anything spectacular. So it was a baseball game that happened on June 2nd or June 3rd. What time was? No, June 2nd. Because it's
looking ahead to tomorrow's game, we'll check out our friends at FanDuel. These are the odds. A gentleman by the name of Shohei Ohtani, I believe is how you pronounce that, is going to be pitching for the Dodgers, and it appears that these folks in Las Vegas or wherever they live like this gentleman named Ohtani. Kevin.
Yeah, 1-2 odds, I guess. They're 2-1 favorites. Again, not a ton of value. It is interesting that the over 9, the line, the over under set at 9. I always get interested to see where they set that, just because it indicates who they believe, or if they believe these teams can hit it all with a guy like Ohtani on the mound with the .8 or whatever. Diamondbacks are hot. Corbin Carroll really good at baseball still, apparently. But also, like, the Diamondbacks Dodgers -1.5, -118 to win by 2 runs. I think there's some value there with a guy like Ohtani on the mound and a bullpen to back him up, because for all intents and purposes, they should have pretty much everybody available. I don't see why they wouldn't, unless there's guys on back-to-backs, but they'll have guys like Vesia. He should be around, so they'll have some leverage arms.
And the other storyline here, which used to not really be a storyline, but now it is in 2026, is Shohei Ohtani is going to hit tomorrow. Apparently, we need Dave Roberts to tell us this on a weekly basis, because they decided to sit him a couple of times. But Dave Roberts has announced that he will, in fact, both hit and pitch. And, I mean, you mentioned it. Slowly but surely, that OPS is up over 900. 927, I believe, after this game. The on-base percentage, I mean, it's 293, 411, 516. Like, there are people that think he's having a bad year. He's almost hitting 300. He's reaching base over 40% of the time, and the slugging percentage starts with the 5. The slugging percentage
not like a zillion home runs.
I was going to say, the slugging percentage is probably the one number in there that you're like wishing it was closer to 6, if not 6 itself. But when you're looking at the over-under and totals and that kind of a thing, it helps when this guy is both pitching and having a .8 ERA and also hitting. He's the total ruiner, because he could pitch you to the under and then hit you to the over, and you never know which side you want to be on.
God, no wonder Ipe is in jail right now.
Yeah, Ipe could never figure out which side he should be on, the under or the over. And Ohtani ruined both of them somehow.
He did at the same time.
It's amazing. But yes, Zach Gallen on the mound for the Diamondbacks tomorrow.
Oh, we need some revenge on Zach Gallen. I did not like how they looked against him in Los Angeles. I need them to treat him like Zach Gallen again.
Yeah. Two more games in this series, by the way. It is a 4-game series.
Oh, so. It's a 4-gamer. Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
So both are at 640, because then the Dodgers, both are at 640. Because then the Dodgers come to play the Angels, or, whatever. However you want to phrase where those games are going to be played. Is that at Dodger Stadium? Yeah, it's at Dodger Stadium. So the Angels have to travel all the way up from Anaheim to Los Angeles for that one. But 640 games, both of those.
They get to mooch off the Dodgers for a series. Lucky them.
I know. They get out of the rat-infested stadium. They probably get some nicer clubhouse. The Angel guys are probably thrilled to be on the road.
You obviously no baseball player will ever tell anybody that's on record for anything. I would love to know for players that play for like clubs like the Angels or the Athletics, the Rays, like, what clubhouse did you love visiting? 'Cause you're like, man, these digs are just so much better than the home stadium.
100%. It's a great question. So, excuse me. All right, let's. We're at the 40-minute mark again, as you said. Nothing extraordinary in this one. Nothing extraordinary happening necessarily off the field for the Dodgers. So let's get to some questions. All caps question. Throw those in the chat. We'd love to get to as many as we possibly can. Our guy Jason with another question. What did you guys think about Scooble's suggested Dodgers package? Robleski or Sheehan plus DePaula or Hope or Quintero is this one. These have started making the rounds, Kevin, of the packages you've seen. What would you think about something like this? Either Robleski or Sheehan, and then one of those top 3 outfield prospects for, what is essentially currently a rental in Scooble who is set to hit free agency.
Yeah, sure. You're asking for a rental to give up your fifth or sixth starter, and then one of your better outfield prospects, like for 3 months of Tarek Skubal or whatever. And I would do that. I mean, DePaula's on fire right now.
I was going to say, if this is Sheehan and DePaula for Tarek Skubal, would you do that trade? I have Sheehan ranked ahead of Robleski as far as just a value perspective. And I know that's not like a sexy thing to say today, because Sheehan has been up and down and Robleski's been fine. But if it was Sheehan and DePaula, who most people have as the number one guy in the system, would you do it?
I would much rather trade DePaula for something more insane. Like, just include him for a player that nobody even knows is on the trade market or on the trade block. But if that's like the only way to do it, sure. What sucks about the Tarek Skubal situation is, honestly, the biggest benefit of trading for Tarek Skubal is that then they don't have to face him.
Yeah.
And that just like sucks to trade from that position. It's like, yeah, he's really, really good. He might be the best pitcher on the staff, but like really what you're trading for him for is so that you don't have to face him. And I don't like giving up top tier prospects for that, but I mean, sure, if they're going to hold on, or if there's no other way to deal DePaula when his stock is so high, then I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting because I already know Tigers fans would be hearing this and saying, we need more. And it's because we've become so accustomed to a guy like Skubal just nets a massive package, and we don't ever talk about like how much time is left on the contract. How quickly do I have to give this guy a $400 million contract in order to keep him around? And so that's the tricky part for me, is how do I give up guys who are good enough to get me Tarek Skubal, but not enough of them to overpay for a guy who's only going to be here for a few months. I think that's the tricky part that I have to weigh in my head. And again, like Robleski or Sheehan, I don't know if Robleski has, again, I like Justin Robleski. It's going to sound like I don't think he has this, like the ability to tap into becoming like a number 3 starter. I think Robleski's like a number 4, number 5 type who could be a bullpen piece if you wanted to use him that way. And so if it's that plus one of the million outfield prospects we have, and maybe it's a guy that the Dodgers are slightly lower on than consensus, sure. But like, again, Emmett Sheehan, he had a 2.8 in like real sample size last year. I think Sheehan, if things click and they get things cleaned up, like could be a number 3-ish, maybe even 2.5 type starter if things break the right way. That's the equation that's tough for me to do in my head, Kevin.
Yeah, I honestly don't really care too much about the pitching aspect of this. You could deal Sheehan and Robleski for all I care. I think they're both going to be fine. I just think the Dodgers are so good at developing pitching that if another team values them even slightly higher than the Dodgers do, I think you just trade from a position of strength and just deal them. I like Sheehan. I like Robleski. This is nothing against them. I just think the Dodgers are so good at developing them that like, why not deal them? Because like already they're a 5th or 6th starter on this team. So like there's just so many guys in reserve that's fine. The DePaula piece is really what gets to me, because I think you can get more, which is weird to say, but I guess for me, I don't think the trade package that's going to bring Skubal to another team is honestly going to be as high as people think. I know somebody floated around would be like close to Juan Soto, and I think that's just lunacy, because that was 1.5 years of a generational talent who was like 24 at the time he got dealt, or 25. Yeah. Tarek Skubal's 28, 29. He's just come off injury. He's only a rental. Like, I don't think the package is going to be that high. So I have a hard time trading like a DePaula plus for Skubal. I would prefer to package DePaula for, a better return, I guess.
Yeah. Lance Brozdowski, who's a guy I really like, he was on MLB Network talking about some potential packages for Tarek Skubal, and his Dodgers proposal was Mike Sirota, which I know will make you happier than Josue DePaula. But the second name on this package might not make you as happy as Emmett Sheehan and Justin Robleski, because that was River Ryan. So River Ryan and Mike Sirota for Tarek Skubal. Again, I was surprised to only see 2 names because of where I think most people assume this will end up. But River Ryan, who is a top 20 prospect in all of Major League Baseball, an electric arm, a guy who has the upside of being like a number 2 type starter, and yet is a little bit older as a prospect, has had some injury issues. River Ryan and Mike Sirota, is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down from Kevin Skinner?
That's a thumbs up. Like it's the same argument. Like River Ryan, if you plugged him into the rotation right now, would be, I mean, he might be higher. He might be closer to a 4, maybe a 3. But again, like you're splitting hairs there. I finally got that adage right. Let's go.
Yeah.
Love that for me. But I'm fine. The pitching part, like if you want River Ryan, you can have River Ryan.
So you're cool with basically, take any pitching prospect in the system. Yeah. Is there anybody else? Because we did have another question from Honey Oats asking, is your favorite prospect in the system DePaula? It sounds like DePaula is your favorite prospect in the system. Is it close?
Yeah, I do like Quintero a lot, because it looks like he's going to be able to actually stick in center.
Yeah.
And I value that ability. I like DePaula right now because it's very obvious the Dodgers in the next couple of years are going to need outfielders, and that's currently where they're strong. And so I don't want to give away a bunch of outfielders when, Teoscar's contract is up next year, and then Kyle Tucker's contract is most likely going to be up after the second year. I would be surprised if he's on the team or he picks up his 3rd-year option. So like they're going to need outfielders. And I like guys like DePaula to fill in for the corners. That's why I'm a little bit higher, I think, on DePaula right now than I was like last year. Because last year I looked at the outfield, I was like, we're fine. Like, we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. But right now I'm looking at it like, we actually might need a little bit of help there. Whereas pitching, we named 3 different guys, and I'm like, these are like, pick your poison. Which one do you like? They're all kind of the same.
I mean, the thing that you have to remember when it comes to the Dodgers, and the reason why I think River Ryan and Josue DePaula are probably in their own category, is because the Dodgers are always swinging for high ceiling plays.
Yep.
Not to say that a guy like Quintero can't get there, Zaire Hope can't get there, but I think Sirota is a pretty good example. Like, I think there's a pretty good chance that Sirota becomes a really productive major league player. I don't think anybody believes that Mike Sirota is has an MVP season in him somewhere.
Yeah.
I think when they look at a guy like Josue DePaula, you can dream and say, what if Yordan Alvarez played left field for the Dodgers? Like, that's where the ceiling is. And even Zaire Hope, I think, has a little bit of that. I think Quintero, it's never going to be like the sexiest looking thing. And I'm not saying he's Corbin Carroll, but I think that's what you would look at for Quintero is, can you just accumulate value by doing being a great defensive center fielder and hitting for average and having a little bit of power? And so I think that's why the Dodgers have held on to the guys that they've held on to, is because it's like, well, what is the best possible outcome to a Dalton Rushing versus what's the best possible outcome to a Miguel Vargas? Now, Miguel Vargas is awesome this year, and I always loved Miguel Vargas, so good. Shout out to him. But I don't think they ever looked at Miguel Vargas and thought to themselves like, oh, this guy's going to compete for MVPs. I think they were like, yeah, maybe he makes a couple all-star teams, but it's just a different calculus. And so I think same with River Ryan. Like, River Ryan, I think, could be a number 1.5 starting pitcher. Like, the upside for River Ryan is 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a couple other pitches that are really good. Whereas, that's just not going to be Justin Robleski. That's not the ceiling that he has. And so I think the Dodgers are always going to opt for, if they can, trading the guys that have high floors to teams that maybe want that. They're like, give me the guy that is going to be a productive Major League Baseball player for the next 7 years for sure, even if it's 1 or 2 all-star games as the ceiling. It's just a different calculus for the Dodgers than most teams.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I just, for River Ryan specific, I like River Ryan a lot. I'm always excited to watch him pitch or listen to him pitch if I'm doing radio. But, he is 20. He's a little older, like you mentioned. He's 27. He has had a history of injuries, both upper body and lower body. I believe he's a very productive pitcher. I believe he could definitely make all-star teams, 100%. But if I'm looking at the opportunity to three-peat, yes, I would deal a 27-year-old potential all-star for a back-to-back Cy Young winner that I know could help win right now. And again, I am a little bit more bullish on the outfielders because I can see, down the road, it's not like I hope one of these guys hits. They're going to need one of these outfielders to hit. So I'm a little more hesitant to deal from that immediately.
Yeah.
Whereas we have Ohtani, Yamamoto, Sasaki. I think we have 2 more years of Glass now. Blake Snell for 2 more years. There's still plenty of pitching in the organization and under contract for a little while.
Yeah. Cole by Cole says, getting Scooble for Matt Beatty, 100% yes there. So obviously River Ryan came over in the Matt Beatty trade. You could just draw it out that way. Love that. Court asks, so what do you think the chances are the Dodgers trade for Scooble? If you had to put a percentage on this right now, Kevin, what would you put it at?
15%.
Okay. I was going to say 33%.
I think other teams are more desperate for Tarek Skubal than the Dodgers are. I think the Dodgers, like I mentioned, I think the way they look at Tarek Skubal is if we can trade for this guy, it's so we don't have to face him. I truly think if you asked Andrew Friedman right now, who has the best rotation in baseball, I think he truly believes the Dodgers have the best rotation in baseball. And yes, Tarek Skubal improves it, but we'd mentioned on a previous show, I don't think he improves it by that much. Because you're asking, you're moving out a Tyler Glasnow or a Blake Snell for a Tarek Skubal because Ohtani and Yamamoto are still going to be there. So I think other teams will be more desperate to get a bona fide ace and drastically improve their pitching.
Yeah, you and I have had that conversation. I totally agree. The delta that getting Tarek Skubal adds to the Dodgers is just a lot smaller because it's the jump from Tyler Glass, assuming health and blah, blah, blah. We get all the caveats, okay? But assuming health, it's the jump from Tyler Glass now to Tarek Skubal, which is a massive jump, right? Like Tarek Skubal is one of the 3 best pitchers in Major League Baseball for sure. And I'm not really worried about the elbow thing. I think he's going to be fine. But like Tyler Glasnow is probably one of the 20 best pitchers in Major League Baseball when he's healthy, right? Versus the other team that's going to insert themselves into the Tarek Skubal conversation is going to be replacing like a Justin Robleski level player.
They're going to be replacing a guy that wouldn't sniff the Dodgers rotation.
Exactly right. It's like, oh, this guy has like a 4.8 ERA and we can add Skubal instead. That's going to be a lot more valuable to them than it is going to be for the Dodgers. And so I think if the prices, like, it sounds really stupid and simplistic, but like the Dodgers are going to be opportunistic with Tarek Skubal. If the Tigers get desperate and there's nobody that's willing to meet their price, then I think the Dodgers are going to be sniffing around. And if it comes down to a River Ryan and Mike Sirota type package, then I think the Dodgers will make the trade. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think someone's going to overpay. There's going to be a couple of teams that talk themselves into it. You know, it's going to be one team that's like, hasn't been in the mix for a while. The Braves, like, what if the Braves just say, screw it? Like, last couple years have been rough. Like, let's just throw a couple bones at Detroit. Let's make a run at the Dodgers. They're going to be more desperate for that.
School will be gross.
You know, like, I just think there's going to be a team like that that's going to talk themselves into Tarek Skubal and say, we'll take our chances. So, because there's also a lot of teams like the Braves, like the other piece here that you have to acknowledge is there's a lot of teams that Tarek Skubal probably won't consider unless they can get him in their building before he hits free agency. So maybe it's a team that says, oh, he would never even take a visit here in Atlanta, but he's there, he gets embraced, he likes the clubhouse, etc. You know, so I just think there's going to be teams that are more desperate. So,
yeah,
good question.
The team that honestly scares me the most is the Phillies. I think if the Phillies can find a way to land Skubal, that's, you know, you're talking Christopher Sanchez, you know, Tarek Skubal, Zach Wheeler, like that's a terrifying 3-headed monster. But a team like the Phillies he does add a ton of value to them, and they can. And I think they're a team that's going to be a little bit more desperate for somebody like Tarek Skubal than the Dodgers. Can they make a better offer than the Dodgers? I don't know. I don't know how teams view, you know, Andrew Painter right now and the rest of that and the rest of their farm, but like I think they would be pushing a little bit harder than the Dodgers. I think, you know, in the Tarek Skubal sweepstakes, Andrew Friedman can and should let the market come to him. If it comes down and he goes, okay, we can have a conversation in his waters and not have to go play in like the giant ocean of major league prospects.
Yeah. Shout out, by the way, we're just over 600 viewers here on YouTube, almost an hour in on a Tuesday night. So shout out to the people joining us live. As always, thank you. We appreciate you. A couple more questions here. Richie chiming in says, if AJ guts the Padres farm again and they get bounced in the wild card or don't get in, does the new ownership clean house? Shout out to AJ Preller for getting himself a contract extension right before the sale, by the way. I hope he gets a lifetime contract. Buster Posey and AJ Preller, lifetime contracts with their respective organizations as far as I'm concerned.
AJ Preller is such an interesting general manager because obviously he hasn't delivered a championship or a championship roster to the Padres, but he keeps them interesting enough every year where fans keep flocking. Like, he makes that organization money without winning. And it's just fascinating how he does it.
Yeah, I think it's a great point because if you're a fan of a team like the Padres, you love the blockbuster trade to go get Mason Miller. Like, and AJ Preller is just hoping that you forget about who the prospects were that you traded away to go get Juan Soto or to go get Mason Miller, to go get, you know, Dylan Cease, fill in the blank player that it cost. And to your point, it never seems to work, but the fans kind of sneaky love it because they're always relevant. They're always in the mix. And I mean, it is a massive shot of endorphins when you're like, holy crap, we just traded for Mason Miller. And then you forget that you traded away like one of the best prospects in baseball for a guy who's a closer on a team that like is going to finish third in the division. But like Mason Miller, man, pretty cool. Pretty cool day when we traded for Mason Miller. So I love it. I love it.
Just don't go look at what James Wood and CJ Abrams are doing. Don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody
Exactly.
that.
All Dodgers wants to know, when will Kevin give us a new kitchen tour?
I don't have the capabilities of doing that. My
It's tragic.
camera and mic are attached to my computer.
I don't know if you noticed this, but it was I believe it was Sunday night. There was some criticism to what you've got going on behind you. Some people were hoping for an upgraded thing. There was one comment made that was like, Kevin has one thing on his wall and he stuck it right behind where his head is.
Yeah.
And so we can't even
okay,
see
what do you
the
want me to put over the window?
I mean, what's on the other side of you? Is that a window?
It's a window.
No, the other side.
Oh, that's a wall, yeah.
No, that's the window. That's the wall. Yeah, what about right there? You could just put it right there.
Okay, so this room will eventually have a bed in it, and I'm waiting for the bed to arrive before I start putting things around it because I just don't feel like putting stuff up and then taking them down and rearranging a bunch. So I do have things I want to put up. I just haven't. I have a cell phone on it.
Kitchen tour. All Dodgers is saying that you do own a cell phone and you could give us a kitchen tour on a cell phone.
I did not know I could do that. I didn't know that was a possibility. So maybe we'll make it work that way. But yes, I will eventually put more stuff up. I just don't feel like rearranging a bunch of things right.
We'll let the chat decide if they're going to accept that answer or not from you, Kevin. Let's just say that.
That's fine.
I am Donovan with the super chat. We appreciate it. $5. Can't remember who, but someone suggested leveraging our prospect for Witt instead of Scooble before the work stoppage. I believe you sent me a text message along these lines today. Am I wrong about that?
I didn't post this anywhere, so somebody else on social media must have also posited the same thing. But I did mention, like, what if they trade DePaula for somebody like Bobby Witt Jr. or I also said like Corey Seager, because with the idea being that the Dodgers are going to be handcuffed most likely by this new CBA in one way or another. It seems like they're going to do everything in their power, or the other organization will do everything in their power to make sure to stop the big bad Dodgers. So what they will also probably do is allow the Dodgers and teams that are over the cap, if there is a cap, to work their way below it over a course or set number of years. So a way to circumvent it is to like sign a bunch of guys now, or like trade for somebody with like this egregiously large cap hit, and then be like, yeah, we're working our way down, but like in the meantime, we have Bobby Witt hitting second.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. I like, yeah, if you want to trade Jose DePaula for Bobby Witt Jr., yeah, I'm all there.
Well,
I'm all the way there.
Yeah. I was laughing because I got into an argument on social media, surprised by somebody who loves the owners and wants the billionaires to get richer. And they were making the point of like, well, look in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and they're successful, and that could never happen in MLB. Oh, actually, Brad Ziegler, former Major League Baseball player, I got inserted by him, a comment I had made, into an argument Brad Ziegler was having with this other person who was mentioning the Mahomes stuff. Ziegler was not surprisingly taking the player side. And it was like, oh, Kansas City, is that the town that just signed Bobby Witt to the $300 million deal? Like, I was told small market teams weren't allowed to pay their own guys, and that there's no way they could afford these massive $300 million contracts. So, I mean, based on the people on social media, Bobby Witt, like, they're going to have to trade him yesterday. Otherwise, I think they're going to like foreclose on the whole everything. Like, the Royals will cease to exist if they try and pay Bobby Witt real money. So.
Yes, I believe when Kansas City gets their new stadium, they're also going to level where the Royals play and forget to build them a new stadium.
Yeah. Cole by Cole has a follow-up question on the room setup, and he asks, are you hanging the bed on the wall, Kevin? Like,
it is a Murphy bed. How did he know?
There you go. Wow. Good answer by Kevin. I don't believe him, but what are you going to say now? What are you going to say, Cole? There you go. Richard asks, which happens first? Kyle Tucker lives up to his contract, or Jeff adds a Teoscar bobblehead to his collection?
Probably already have one.
What's that?
You probably already have a Teoscar bobblehead.
I don't think I do.
Oh, that's surprising.
The thing is all like 90% of my bobbleheads are from a while ago, or they're like ones that have been given to me over the years. So this is a small shameless plug for myself and Richie. I know you're a big bobblehead guy, but like, if hypothetically someone were to get a new Dodgers bobblehead and want to send it to somebody that they appreciated, that it would be valued by, I'm that guy. I want you to know. And so, Richie, really, this is a question I should be asking you, which is, which is going to happen first? You're going to send me a Teoscar Hernandez bobblehead, or Kyle Tucker is going to live up to his contract. So I'm just going to put the ball back in your court, Richie. But yeah, I just don't live in LA anymore, so I have no access to all the bobbleheads. It's a really sad thing. But most of these are FOCO ones that we used to get given to us, which were sweet, or they're just like old Clayton Kershaw and Yasiel Puig ones that I have. So there you go.
Could be like me and not have any bobbleheads.
It's true. That's true. But I would be missing out on Vince. What do we got? Vince Scully up there, Corey Seager. You know,
I think I have like a San Diego Gulls bobblehead somewhere.
A what?
Like a San Diego, like the old NHL team, the San Diego Gulls.
It's crazy.
I think I have a bobblehead from a game in a box somewhere, but that's about all I got.
All Dodger says, do not send bobbleheads to Kevin. Bed greater than Dodgers gear. So there you go.
I could put them on the bed.
You could put them on the bed. There you go. Right on the. I like that. Bad X Beats says, set up a PO box, Jeff. We will send you stuff. I could give you a PO box address right now. So find me on social media. I'll get you a PO box, or I don't know. I'll figure out a way. I do have a place that I can get stuff sent to me. So shout out to Bad BX Beats. Maybe hooking me up. Okay. Let's see. David has a question for us. Is the relief pitching set? Do you think the Dodgers need to trade for somebody in relief pitching? ?
I don't think they need to. I think they will. Because that's just, I know Andrew Friedman loves to say he hates doing it at the deadline, but then he always does it anyway. So like, I just kind of expect them to. They use this time of year to see who can do what. I think if you rolled into October with this current bullpen, preferably with Edwin Diaz,
Evan Phillips,
Evan Phillips,
Stewart.
yes, yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Until he shows up on a mound and stays on the roster for more than a week, I'm not sure he exists. But you could definitely be fine. I don't think they need to trade for one, but you know, if somebody makes a reliever available and the price is right, like Andrew Friedman's not gonna say no.
Yeah, I think the bullpen's in a good spot. A lot of things would have to go sideways. I mean, we've seen a lot of things go sideways, but I think a lot of things would have to go sideways for this to be a need. Because Tanner Scott has looked pretty good, because Edwin Diaz is going to be back, we're expecting Evan Phillips is going to be back, we're expecting Brock Stewart. Some of us are expecting to be back. And then you've got Alex Vesia, who's been great, Jack Dreyer, who's been great. And then once you get down to, like, again, I know people don't like Blake Trinan, but if Blake Trinan is literally the worst reliever in your bullpen, that's not terrible. Will Klein is like a real guy. Kyle Hurt is like a real guy. I just named way more people. Edgardo Enriquez. Like, I just named way more people than they actually have spots in the bullpen. So yeah, if you can get 7 of the 10 guys I just mentioned across the finish line, and one of them is somebody you trust to get you 3 outs in any situation, I think they're going to be fine. That said, the Dodgers are like definitely going to trade for somebody probably, but right now it seems crazy.
And the funny thing too is like Robleski and Sheehan are going to end up being bullpen pieces too. So it's like they really don't need one, but yeah, go find the 5th best reliever on the Marlins. He's already a Dodger.
Yeah. Whiskey Wellington says, Chat GPT, please decorate Kevin's apartment. So I just really think we just need to move the one thing you have to the blank wall that is directly over your left shoulder. And then I think we solve a lot of problems here.
I'm going to put other things there. Like that works as
but why can't we put those things up now? Because of the bed that's going to be on the wall?
Just because I don't know how tall the bed's going to be, and I want to make sure it's all like proportioned right, and I don't have to move it a second time. I'm very particular about this kind of stuff.
Okay, and that's why I like that. What's our timeline on the bed?
Like hopefully in the next few weeks. There was a snafu with FedEx, and they shipped it, and then it got sent back, and then they got to ship it again, and then I'm not going to be here this weekend because of a wedding, so it's going to be a bit. But it should be.
Is this like how long do we think it's going to take Kevin to construct the bed that's going to be going in your apartment?
Not long at all. The day I get it, I already have the bed frame. I just need the stupid mattress.
Okay, so we're waiting on the mattress.
Yeah.
Wait, but isn't the bed frame the thing that's like most determining how high this thing is going to be?
No, there's also the mattress.
Well, don't we know exactly how tall the mattress is?
Yes. But then I have to stand on things. It's just
You gonna stand on the mattress? You sleep on the mattress.
Well, I'm gonna stand on the mattress when I put things up.
Okay.
So I'm a short boy. All right. I don't have stools and things. The mattress will have to do.
Okay. All right. I like where this is happening. Hold on. What are the odds about the bed ever happening?
Get you the tracking number. You can track it yourself.
I believe no bed by the postseason rolling around is currently plus 150 on FanDuel. Plus 150 that there's no bed by October 1st. So
I think I'll be sleeping outside if that happens.
Who knows? So. Who knows? Ram Lake Gers says, at what point do we start panicking about Kyle Tucker? He looks like an average outfielder at best for $60 million a year, a little better than Conforto. To be clear, again, World Series champion Michael Conforto has a 900 OPS this season, so not better than Conforto this year. You said you are not panicking about Kyle Tucker. If we are still having a similar conversation on July 2nd, 1 month from today, and he's still got an OPS of like basically 700, are you panicking then?
What's the point in panicking?
Well, I mean, come on. There's no point in any of this, Kevin. That's like there's you and I are sitting here on the internet talking about a baseball team on June 2nd.
Like in the confines of the Dodgers.
When are you going to give up on Kyle Tucker?
I'm not, because he's under, at least not to the offseason.
So if he's got a 690 OPS on July 3rd, you're still going to be like optimistic that he's just going to be awesome.
I'll be resigned to he is what he is, but like I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're not gonna go trade for another outfielder, like because he's under contract. They didn't trade for an outfielder last year when they had Michael Conforto and he got hot for 1 week. They're not gonna do it this year, so I'm just like I'm not gonna stress out about Kyle Tucker because I believe he will eventually regress to his own mean, but also like if I start losing my head over it, what's the point? Because it's not like they're going to bench him. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to DFA him. He's just going to keep playing right field anyway. So there's just like no real reason to like panic over Kyle Tucker. You just got to sit here and go, oh, hopefully he gets back to it. And for what it's worth, he has the pedigree of getting back to a certain point in his career. So,
yeah, I think it's more so like at what point do you start to give up hope? When does the optimism fade? Because obviously you have guys you like and guys you don't like. When does Kyle Tucker become a guy you don't like? How far into the season do we have to be for a guy with his track record and his like sort of like work ethic to be a guy that you're like, you know what, maybe this is just going to be a disaster?
If he does poorly in the postseason.
Okay, so you're giving him the full 2026 season all the way through, and then we'll reevaluate.
Yeah, I'll give him the 2026 season. He could suck the whole regular season, but if he shows up in the postseason, that is all I care about.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I think the track record's long enough for Kyle Tucker that it's going to be really hard for me to just believe that he stinks all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So
there's also like, what are the odds they sign two different outfielders that like have really good splits and all of a sudden they just suck?
It's true.
Like, I don't believe that. Like the odds of that happening back to back, I feel like are really small.
Yeah, fair. I am Donovan with another super chat. Said, is it my imagination or has Mookie's arm the last week or two looked wet noodle-ish? His arm just doesn't have that zip. Have you noticed any of that, Kevin?
Not really. StatCast would say he has. So his arm strength last year was the 29th percentile at 81.4. I think miles per hour was being his average throw. This year, he's in the 20th percentile at 78.9. The only reason that could be slightly misleading is one, he hasn't played that many games. How many throws do you have to second base? How many throws do you have to first base? And positioning. He could be putting himself in better position, so he doesn't need, like if he's getting to the ball faster, he can take a couple of miles an hour off it to make a more accurate throw, which he could be doing. But no, I test-wise, I don't think it necessarily. No ball has been hit to Mookie Betts yet, and I've been like, oh no, he's not going to get the guy out at first.
Yeah, I think you make the right point, which is like his arm has never been elite since he's been moved to shortstop. But I agree with you. I have not noticed it. I'm not saying you're wrong here, Donovan. I just haven't been watching the game and thought to myself like, oh my gosh, that's a disaster. So, but it's a good question, something to keep an eye on. Okay. Javier wants to know, by the way, he's convinced you ordered bunk beds. Can you confirm or deny that you actually ordered bunk beds for yourself?
That would be awesome, but I don't know what I would do.
I mean, you seem really worried about the height, so maybe Javier's onto something. How high up are the bunk
I just
beds
get a
going to
lofted bed. I just got to get a college lofted bed. I
There
just
you
got to
go.
go to the local university and steal one of those.
Yeah, I